Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Joe Palmer begins now.
Good evening, everyone. We begin with breaking news tonight on a fatal fire at West Moona. A blaze broke out at a home this afternoon and the body of what's believed to be the elderly resident has been found inside. Our reporter Louise Hedger has the details and joins us now live. Lou, good evening. What's unfolded this afternoon?
Joe, there's still a number of emergency service crews at the West Moona home. Late this afternoon, we learnt that sadly a person had died in a house fire on Springfield Avenue. Crews were called to the fire just before 2:30 this afternoon. When they arrived, they found the house fully engulfed in flames. A woman's body was located inside. While emergency services have not yet conducted a formal identification, they believe it's an 81-year-old woman who lived at the home. Now, fire investigators will attempt to determine the cause of the fire. A report will be prepared for the coroner, with investigations not expected to be finalised by tonight. And Joe, police and fire crews have passed on their condolences to the family and loved ones of the person who passed away.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you very much for that report. Louise Hedger joining us there. A nationwide shortage of flu vaccinations has hit Tasmania, with some pharmacies across the state left with no supplies. Health authorities today saying an early start to the flu season has led to high demand in the private market.
This shelf in Riverside pharmacy is usually stocked with flu vaccinations, but it's been completely empty for the past 3 days, with a nationwide shortage spreading across the state.
It's very much impacting pharmacies in Tasmania. They're the private market for flu vaccines, and we currently have no vaccines in our pharmacy, and I know that most pharmacies are experiencing that shortage.
They're not expecting any more jabs until mid-June, with the private market seeing a dramatic increase in the demand for vaccines.
In the first few weeks of May, we vaccinated probably 30 people a day, so there was really high demand. We're doing all we can, and we're hoping, well, it's just so unpredictable to know what's going to happen in the next few months.
The low supply is just one of many consequences of an early spike in an unpredictable season.
Well, it's been a really unusual season. There's been a lot of flu early in the season, and we don't know if that is going to increase or reduce over the next few months. So it is a concern.
We have had a larger number of cases of flu notified to us for this time of the year compared to previous years. But today the Commonwealth has also announced that they've been able to source some additional vaccine for the private market.
With vaccinations through public programs currently still available for those at high risk, such as the elderly, pregnant women, children and people living with a chronic illness.
These groups are more at risk of severe flu, and both the Commonwealth and the state fund a free flu vaccination for these people to be received from a GP.
Those able to access a jab are urged to receive one immediately. Ruby Kamane, 7 Tasmania News.
Another roadblock has emerged for the potential pay deal between the state government and teachers. The Australian Education Union is threatening to reject the government's offer that it had previously accepted, amid concerns relief teachers would suffer from a dud deal.
The Education Minister had hoped his government had nailed the wages and conditions agreement with the unions. But that deal is looking likely to become unstuck amid growing concerns relief teachers would be getting the raw end of the stick. The proposal is that pay loading for relief teachers would be reduced from 80 to 30% or to 50% at schools which struggle to attract teaching staff.
It's still a good deal. It's still 30% above the normal rate, 50% in those hard to staff areas.
The deal had been endorsed by the AEU, with the majority of its members recently accepting it.
Why would you want to throw that out? Why would you want to throw out a democratic process where 70% of the members said yes, this is a good deal?
Now though, there's concerns of devil in the detail, that the offer is too low.
Teachers must be aware that the labourer is worthy of his hire. People who go to work do their very best and expect to be getting a fair day's pay for a fair day's work.
The union wouldn't speak on camera before a meeting on the issue is held on Friday, but has previously said there's a relief teachers shortage crisis. In a statement, it says a number of its members have expressed concerns about the proposal to reduce the loading rates. The State School Association is wary of any more disruptions, with recent union-led industrial action, including teacher strikes and no report cards, impacting Tasmanian students.
Well, we're hoping that the agreements that have been made continue to be honoured and that we can move forward to a productive 2019 school year.
Elizabeth Osborne was a union member for 20 years but left last year because of the union's leadership direction. She's still a teacher and is worried if the current deal gets a green tick, more experienced teachers will leave the sector.
We cannot do that to our teachers. They deserve the pay for their professionalism, for their experience and for their hard work.
Louise Hedger, 7 Tasmania News.
The state government is continuing to face the fallout of a scathing review into what's been labelled as our dysfunctional and inefficient emergency departments. As the health system continues to struggle, advocates say a complete cultural shift in hospital leadership is the only solution to solving Tasmania's chronic crisis.
The Health Minister facing question after question, an interrogation following yesterday's release of a damning report into our emergency departments. The scathing Auditor-General investigation finding patient safety was severely and routinely compromised.
We will always look to do more, and I welcome the AG's report. It's healthy, it's helpful, it's constructive.
Tempers flaring inside Parliament. Greens MP Rosalie Woodruff kicked out.
Ms Woodruff, I'm afraid you have to leave the House. Thank you. And you can come back at the end of question time.
The Minister now inviting the Auditor-General to a much-anticipated Access Solutions meeting next month. But it's unclear whether his many recommendations will be adopted.
I'll certainly be taking those recommendations forward to the best of our ability and looking at what we can implement in the short term, in the medium term and through the solutions meeting.
He needs to take action now. He actually needs to have taken action much sooner than now, and he can't rely on a meeting next month to fix all of the problems that we see.
There are changes that the Minister could be introducing that don't cost money, that would bring in thousands of extra bed days a year.
Those working on the front line backing the report, saying problems stem from outside the ED, coming from leadership and accountability issues.
We need to get down and work together all the way from the executive, minister, all the way down to the people at the coalface, so that we all have a shared vision about what we're trying to achieve and work together to achieve it.
Remaining hopeful, the investigation will be a catalyst for the long-term change our hospitals desperately need. Michelle Wisby, 7 Tasmania News.
Police have charged 3 people over an alleged bashing and robbery of a 75-year-old man in his own home. A 51-year-old man and 37-year-old woman from Newnham, along with a 21-year-old from Rochalee, will appear in an out-of-hours court tonight. Police allege the trio entered the Heather Street home in South Launceston on Saturday night and assaulted the occupant with a firearm.
2 of them are related, and the third is known to both the other 2 persons.
Police are appealing for any witnesses who saw a gold Nissan Pulsar in Heather Street or in Morris Street in Prospect on Saturday night. Information can be provided anonymously to Crime Stoppers. A 2-vehicle crash in Launceston this afternoon resulted in 1 car colliding into a bus shelter. The incident on Invermay Road in Mowbray causing significant damage to the structure and traffic delays throughout the area. No serious injuries were reported. Following the launch of a National Week of Action, Crime Stoppers says the community has a part to play when cracking down on the importation and usage of illicit drugs in Tasmania. It's working with Tasmania Police with the help of a substance detection dog to tackle crystal methamphetamine.
We constantly find that there are linkages between the use of ice and the commission of crime. Members of the community know about these people. They just have to have the courage to make the call.
We've got to keep hammering that message out there and to make sure that we keep those phones ringing and that we keep the people being across, making their communities safer.
Anyone wishing to anonymously report suspicious activity is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. He was a much-loved member of 2 football clubs who was tragically taken at just 26 years of age to brain cancer. Now, Keon Brown is being remembered in a memorial match between his 2 former sides, who are still coming to terms with the loss of their mate.
Keon Brown was everything you'd want in a footballer: tough, fit, true to his teammates, champion of his club. The news of his death in February at the age of just 26 broke the hearts of his 2 former clubs and his mother's, who says football inspired Keon to keep fighting.
As far as he was concerned, he wasn't going anywhere. Even when I took him into palliative care 3 days before he passed away, he even said to me then, don't go getting rid of that, and make sure Tom doesn't give my job away. I'm going back to work, and then I'm going back to training.
Keon lived nearly 4 years longer than doctors had initially expected. And it's that spirit his former clubs, Old Scotch and Lilydale, will be playing for on the weekend in a new perpetual trophy.
Quite remarkable the amount of blokes that have actually turned up on the track over the last 2 weeks just trying to get their hand in for a position on Saturday. It's pretty remarkable what he meant to a lot of people.
We take his Guernsey into the game every day, hang it up in the change rooms, and respect him every game we play and think about him.
The clubs are also selling beanies to raise money for brain cancer research. They've been so popular, a second order is on its way. Keon's mother says her son's proudest moment was his last flag in 2016. To be champion just once more was his dying wish, and he cherished it.
Put it this way, the one photo he had on the wall was a premiership photo. I couldn't possibly be any prouder, at all.
Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
The state government has chosen its preferred site for a new private hospital in Launceston. Land owned by the Health Department on Franklin Street, directly opposite the Launceston General Hospital, is now earmarked for the development, which would be run by Calvary Healthcare. The site currently houses the government's mental health services buildings. The private hospital is proposing to offer a range of services, including palliative care, while taking pressure off the LGH during periods of peak demand. The state government expects Calvary to reveal its full proposal later this year.
With a spot in the NBL 1 finals just about out of the question, Launceston Tornadoes coach Derek Washington says he's mainly focused now on developing his young side. The Torns have won just 3 of their 11 matches and face their toughest task yet on the weekend against table topper Geelong. In good news for the side, star import Stella Beck will be back from international duties, although Britt Hodges will likely remain sidelined with an injured hamstring.
Our focus is to continue to play our style of basketball, and you never know how the chips may fall. The finals still may be in the cards, but we still have to compete at a high level, no matter what.
Tip-off at Elphin is 6:30 Saturday night.
10 degrees today in Hobart. Launceston had a top of 12 degrees with 11 in Burnie and Devonport. 13 was the state's top temperature for St Helens, 12 for Low Head, 11 degrees on the Bass Strait Islands, 10 at Campania with 9 for Ouse and Strawn. Looking at the charts, mid to low cloud about the west, the south and also through Bass Strait today. Similar conditions over Victoria, New South Wales and parts of WA. Cumulus cloud activity over Queensland with the remainder cloud-free. Tomorrow a weak trough crosses this state early on. A trough sits over northern Queensland while a high pressure system dominates the bight. South to southwesterly winds 20 to 30 knots, tending west to southwesterly early on and increasing about the south and the east later with seas to 3 metres. There's a gale warning for lower eastern and southern coastal waters, a strong wind warning for all remaining waters. There's a small craft wind alert for the southwest and central lakes. There's also a flood warning for the Huon River Basin, a sheep graziers warning for the southeast, the Midlands and the east coast, with a bushwalkers weather alert for western and central districts and a road weather alert for snow and ice around most areas. There's also a frost warning for northern, central and eastern areas. It's probably better just to stay in bed. Showers and 13 for Hobart, Cygnet and New Norfolk tomorrow, 15 in Launceston and Devonport, showers and 13 for Campbelltown. Showers through the northwest, 15 in Burnie, 13 for Strawn, 14 at Smithton, with a top of 15 for St Helens, Swansea 14 degrees and 13 with frost at Fingal. Showers for western, central and southern areas on Friday. Pretty fine conditions elsewhere. Fine with just some drizzle for the west and the south on Saturday, with showers in the west and the south on Sunday, but pretty fine elsewhere. Around Australia tomorrow, 25 degrees in Perth with a sunny day, 13 in Melbourne, 18 and sunny for Sydney, Brisbane 22 with 28 for Cairns. Joe, it's all doom and gloom. I'm not very happy about that at the moment. 6 degrees at the moment in Hobart, Launceston 7 and 7 and clear for Devonport. Have a good one.
Thank you very much, Sam. I'm not happy either. It's just too cold, isn't it? Well, that's all from the team for now. Thanks so much for your company. We'll see you a bit later with updates. Bye-bye.